With the Bradenton Marauders baseball season right around the corner, it's time to see some of the faces that you'll be seeing on a daily basis. And we figured we start right at the top. And Bradenton Marauders manager Jim Horner. And Jim, thanks so much for joining us. And I know you're down here at spring training. Kind of what was that feeling like for you to walk back through the gates at Pirate City and get going again?
Oh, it's good. It's always fun to come back. It's hard leaving. Obviously in the off season, I spent a lot of time in Idaho, so it's hard leaving my family, knowing that the season's getting ready to start. But they end up making trips down to see me, so it turns out to be okay.
And you're back here with Bradenton. I know you're the bench coach in 2021. What's kind of that jump now where, last year with the FCL as the manager and now here with Bradenton, kind of what's that leap been like for yourself for this year?
It's been okay. I've managed at the level before, so it's not going to be anything new in that sense. It's probably more nerve-wracking because JJ had done such a great job the last couple of years. I mean, we won one in 21, I think it was, when I was there with as the bench coach, and then the last couple of years his teams have been so good. So it's more nerve-wracking probably trying to fill his shoes than anything else. But our whole goal is just to get the players better and try to move them on up.
I don't know if you got to meet the full staff so far that you'll be having in Bradenton this year, but if you had any early interactions with them or whatnot, kind of what are you looking forward to the most to working with this staff about?
It's a good group. I've never really worked with 40. He was in the FCL down there when I was kind of overseeing the complex. Did a great job with the pitchers. JJ had a lot of good things to say about him last year, so I'm really looking forward to working with him. Scott Siebel, he's new this year. I've had a couple of conversations on the phone with him, and I think he's going to fit in just nicely. Gus Omania and Ernesto and Steph, I've all worked with before, so it'll be good. And then I guess if you get into the trainers, Alexa being there again for the second year, she was a trainer down in the FCL when I was down there too. So most of them I know very well. Nick, I haven't really met up with yet, the strength and conditioning coach, but I think I'll meet him here when he gets into town, and so I'm looking forward to it. But I think most of them are they're all fun to work with. It should be a pretty good group.
I know you've seen a lot of faces through the years, when you're a short time here at the Pirates organization so far. You're assistant field coordinator 2 years ago. So what's kind of that like from being a rover and going around all the affiliates to now being just with one and a manager? Kind of what's that routine difference like?
Well, still in the same role. Still in the same assistant field coordinator role. And even before I was more complex to the A-ball clubs, right? Like I went up to Greensboro, but I didn't really ever go above that. So a lot of the younger guys I get to see with going to the DR 2 years ago. Got to see. Guy I had last year was Axial Plaza. Saw him in the DR and then ended up getting to coach him last year. So it's kind of fun because you get to start to create the relationships with the players, especially at the level. And for the most part, I love being at the lower levels. I really do. It's I don't know, it probably suits me better than anything just because of the amount of teaching that you get to do. It's fun for me. It's not boring at all because you never know what you're going to see. So that's always fun. But being around that many games or whatever, and you see something new, it like just keeps you interested.
Yeah, around a ballpark, for 132 games, about 6 months out of the year, it's nothing wrong with that at all. I know you're a guy that's played up into AAA. Played at Washington State and then in the Seattle Mariners organization for almost 10 years. Is there a favorite baseball memory that you have?
I have a couple of them. There was one in the playoffs where I really felt like you kind of knew what you were. It was the first time playing in the playoffs. Arizona Diamondbacks were a new team. They had a really good team in high A. And we were in Lancaster, California, which is a launching pad. So keep that in mind on the story. It was my first at bat. I hit a homer in the playoffs against them. and then I struck out 3 straight times, and then I hit a game-winning homer to end the game. And so it was like it was sandwiched, right? So that was my first time of ever really experiencing like this is great. I won a game, but I also punched out 3 times. So you didn't really think you were that good of a hitter. That was probably one of that one from a, and then my last game, the last game I ever played was in Tacoma, and I pretty much knew it was my last game just because I was having some hip problems, and they didn't say that all of a sudden I was going to be done, but my whole goal was to catch a shutout my last game, and I knew it was going to be my last game. I've kind of I don't know. You look forward to when you're going to play, and you know this is going to be the last game, and it was going to be the last game of the year. Well, Seattle ended up bringing up their pitcher to go to the big leagues, and so I had a rookie ball pitcher that came in to fill in, and we got him through 5 innings, shutout, and then the game ended up being a shutout, and so it was. I felt like that was probably one of my favorite moments, just to get a rookie ball guy through a AAA game with 5 shutout and to end up calling a shutout the last game, because that's I couldn't really ever hit, so that's really all I really cared about was the defensive side of it.
Did a lot of the guys in the locker room know going in, like you wanted this shutout really bad? Did all the pitchers know and going in?
Most of the bullpen guys knew, because we had talked about, I mean, when you're sitting in the bullpen and it's different today, you know, you got like 3 or 4 catchers sometimes on a team. You only had 2 catchers back then. You know, you had a guy, and if you weren't playing in the game, it wasn't like you got to DH. You had to go catch in the bullpen. So it was a little bit different about there. So you had way better relationships with the pitchers because you were with them all the time, especially on days you didn't play, right? So you were just down in the bullpen. So they knew. They gave me the ball. I took my cleats off after the game and put them on home plate and walked away. Nobody was in the stands when I did that. I'd already gone inside and then came back out and took them off and put them on the plate. But that was kind of a fun memory for me, just to be able to do that. But like I said, I wasn't one that cared whether I hit a homer my last at bat or I got a hit in my last at bat. I think I went 1 for 4, probably with a punch out. So it probably suit my stats pretty well the same, just strike out once every 4 at bats or something like that. But it was fun.
So you have that last baseball. You have it in glass somewhere and following you around the country in an office somewhere.
I do. Well, I don't really have an office. I don't make that much money, Thomas. So my house, I have a box, right? Like, so I just have a big old chest that my wife gives me that has all my memorabilia stuff. But yeah, that ball's in there. So the only thing I didn't do was, and I should have done, is I should have wrote who the pitcher was, the pitchers that did it. And I didn't do that. I just took the ball and put it in the thing and knew that it was the last game I caught. So, and at the time you don't really think about it because you don't know for sure if it's the last game, but just with surgeries and stuff like that coming up, you just never know.
I'm a similar guy. I'm a nomad, so I have just stuff on me everywhere I go. So I know what that feeling is like for sure. Kind of a similar question. As a player or as a coach, I know you've been a long time manager and coach in the college and in professional baseball ranks. What's the biggest game you feel you've been a part of?
Oh goodness. Oh, I don't know. That's a tough one, Thomas. There's so many. I don't know if there's any one. There's several that stand out. Anytime you get into the playoffs, right? Like that's fun. 2021, right? Like that was so much fun to play the Yankees in the playoffs and to beat them in 3 with a really young team. Just playing really good baseball and to watch those young players develop throughout the year. And then all the stuff we'd been working on, it's almost like it clicked, as soon as we got into the playoffs and they just like went off. They were different, like they were just different kids. And so you remember those kind of things. I don't know if I remember necessarily a specific game. I mean, I've won 4 rings. 4 as a player, 1 as a coach. There in 21. Had an opportunity to win another one, but we got beat by a Giants team. Buster Posey and all those guys were on the team that I was managing. So that was always a tough one to do in that California league. But it was, I mean, those are probably the ones that stand out the most. But hey, you just have different memories of guys just all of a sudden getting it to click, like Dario Lopez all of a sudden figuring out how to hit a pull side homer on a breaking ball. And you're just like, oh, yes, we got it. So those are the fun moments.
Well, you kind of mentioned Buster Posey, so I kind of have to ask: has there been a player that you remember vividly that played so well against you, whether as a player, as a coach, that just came in with like, wow, like that guy's a major leaguer? Is there someone kind of like Buster Posey where you saw him and they went on to have a long major league career then that you were just so impressed with in your playing or coaching days?
Buster was probably up there. The guy that's in the news now that's coming back is Kung Fu Panda, right? Like I can't even remember what his name was, the third baseman.
Pablo Sandoval.
Yeah, Sandoval. Mm-hmm. He hit everything. Him and Posey were in that same lineup, and they hit everything. Sandoval, if you bounced the ball to him, he would have hit it for a double. Those two were really impressive to watch, how they went about their work, just their balance and everything at the plate. Josh Reddick, he came through. Houston was in Lancaster at the time, and we were in High Desert. He was unbelievable to watch. Ball come off of his bat. Trying to think if there's other ones. I'm sure there's other ones that I'm missing, but those ones kind of stand out the most. And then there's pitching, right? Like Bumgarner was on that team that the Giants had. So watching him just carve us on inside heaters and continue to do it all the way up into the big leagues, and then just adding stuff from that. But it was fun. And then we had guys too, Michael Pineda, JC, Romero. We had guys that were fun to watch. JJ Putz. Those were guys you catch, but all those guys were fun.
It's the best thing about minor league baseball is you get to see a lot of those guys in the minor leagues, and then 10 years down the road and say, I remember when.
Yeah, that's the hard thing, is because you get around it for so long, and it's like as I'm talking to you, I can start to just add people's names, like, oh yeah, what about so and so? What about so and so? So you just don't remember them off the top of your head. But I vividly remember Posey as a hitter and Pablo Sandoval on that team, and then I also vividly remember Josh Reddick. Like he was unbelievable hitter, at least in that league.
And talk more about the coaching side of things. Has there been a coach or a person who has really been a mentor to you throughout your time? Is there someone that has influenced you the most in your career?
Well, the first guy I played for at Washington State was a guy by the name of Bobo Brayton, and legendary coach. Been in there for so long. Now, I had him his last 2 years, and his memory started to go a little bit his last year, and he's passed on, but that was a sad deal when he passed away. But I take a lot of the things that he did. He kind of, I don't know, he would get on you, but he made you feel like you were part of a group, right? Like, so how he was able to do that, I have no idea. I don't know if I've ever figured that out, but I did like that. When it comes to like gameplay and stuff like that, Dave Brundage, I played for Dave Brundage. He was a Mariners guy. I think he might still be, he's still coaching somewhere, I'm sure of it, because he wins so many minor league championships. It's unbelievable. He was a coach on the 3 teams that we won in San Antonio. And he just saw the game from every aspect. I mean, he just noticed things like, oh, well, that guy's tipping this, or, oh, he would, be able to get the other guy's signs. It's unbelievable to watch. But be a phenomenal bench coach in the big leagues. Like, he'd be a phenomenal bench coach, just being able to pick up everything. Not that he couldn't manage in the big leagues too. He could manage in the big leagues too. But I take some stuff from them. They just how they treated their players, probably more than anything. Tried to treat them like men. Didn't try to, they were pretty upfront with them about what they needed to tell them, and when stuff needed to be, hard conversations, which is hard for every coach. That's the thing we all go through, is that, golly, I got to have this hard conversation with a player. What's it going to happen? They weren't afraid of the hard conversations, and they were good at them.
And for you, you spent some time in the college ranks as an assistant coach at Washington State, your alma mater, and at Texas Tech as well. And so you kind of bounced around between college and the professional minor league ranks as well as a coach. Is kind of what's a difference that you've seen in between coaching up a college player and then a professional minor leaguer?
Yeah, coaching in college is hard. Not saying that coaching professionally isn't hard, because they're both different, right? So, the best way I know how to explain it is when you're in college, it's all about winning. It's all about winning. Not that it's not about winning in the minor leagues, but winning is more important in the college, right? So you're trying to fight to get stuff to win, right? So you're not really changing a whole lot of things with kids because you don't have a whole lot of time in college. So really in college, it's trying to figure out what approach at the plate. This is just an example, like for a hitter, what approach at the plate is going to best suit his swing. Not the fact that you're going to try to change his swing, or because it's not going to work in pro ball, right? It's more about like, how can we get this guy to help us win tonight? And so you just don't have enough time, right? Like professional baseball, you have, you have from 2 o'clock until 6 o'clock to work on stuff every day, right? Every day you have stuff to work on. So you can chip away at making some changes on things that guys are going to struggle with. In college, you don't have that time because of hours restrictions, and college is weird that way, that once you're in the off season, all of a sudden they put you get 2 hours of baseball work, and it may change. It may be different now, but like you get 2 hours of baseball time and you just can't make any changes, right? Like you just can't physically develop people. So I always get a kick out of that. Colleges, we develop. Well, yeah, you do, because you play them in games and the games develop them. But it's a different deal. I mean, it's a different deal. College coaches, I respect the hell out of, because they are on the road all the time. They're always working to find the next players. Professional is a little bit better for me, just because you don't get to pick who you have. Obviously the guys that get drafted all have tools, and so it's your job just to kind of harness those tools and keep developing them. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's the major differences for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely see that as well. And you talk about the coaches being on the road. Well, you're a guy that from your playing and coaching career has been all over the country. Has there been a favorite spot for you to travel or visit? I know you're living in Idaho right now, so that's, that could be an answer too.
Well, Idaho is God's country. So I tell everybody that it's not very many people. It's beautiful. You get 4 seasons. So, I like all that stuff. I'm trying to think of, we'll go with leagues. The Southern League was a really hard league because back in the day when the Southern League was, we went from Florida all the way to, oh gosh, Lee, where am I want to say? Jackson, Tennessee, right? So you were all over in the Southern League, hard league, but the way they set up the league was pretty cool because you did like 5-game series. Like it's almost like what it is now, 6 games. They did 5-game series, and then if you traveled a long ways, you'd have an off day and go from there. But that was a fun league, or it was a hard league. The Eastern League was kind of an interesting league, I thought. I didn't really like the weather in the Eastern League because of in the summer, I felt like it was really just sticky. Everything was just sticky. The mayflies in where was that place? The Nationals used to be there, I think. I can't even remember the place, but you cross over a bridge from the hotel. You'd walk across a bridge to the hotel. That's terrible. I can't remember the name. Must be I'm getting old, Thomas. But that was kind of an interesting league. The California League was a really fun league just because from a hitting standpoint in the South where we were, you felt like you could just hit homers even though you weren't a home run hitter, so that was just kind of fun. And then the PCL and the Midwest League, probably my 2 favorite leagues. I liked the Midwest League. I liked playing in Wisconsin. I liked managing in Wisconsin. That Midwest League was fun at the time. just good travel. It didn't seem like you got really crushed with travel, but at the same time, you got to see some cool places. And then the PCL, other than the PCL, at the time it was hard because you were in Tacoma and everything else was, you had to have a 5 a.m. flight in the morning to go somewhere. But the places you went to were just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've been actually in the Midwest League to Quad City, so seeing that ballpark right on the banks of the Mississippi, it was kind of that's one of my favorite ballparks that I've seen so far in the minor league ranks. So
Yeah, great place, great place. They had the casino on the boat, right? Like, didn't they have like a boat casino or something like that? I can try to remember some of this stuff. I can't remember it all, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, it's kind of more of a local question now instead of narrowing it down to Bradenton, Florida. Kind of some more questions. Maybe some fans want to know, what's your favorite food spot to eat around Bradenton?
I don't eat, well, I do. I eat at the ballpark most of the time. When I do eat out, there's is it called Three Keys? Best Burger, and they say it's the best burger. It's just up the road from where Pirate City is on is that the 41? No, it's the 64, I think. You have to forgive me on the numbers because I just guess. I have eaten there and I really like that. I'm a huge burger guy. I love burgers. I love that kind of stuff. So when they say it's the best burger in town on the marquee, I definitely go for it. And it's a good burger. They kind of do a little bit of a smash burger to it, so it's pretty good. That's probably if I were wanting to take somebody somewhere, I'd probably go there.
I like it. I like it. What's your favorite off-field activity?
Off-field activity. Well, is that like during the season?
Could be during a season, could be out of the season, whichever.
Well, if it's out of the season, it's anything with my family. As a coach, you don't see your family as much when you go on the road once the season starts. So I spend a lot of time with my wife. We have a new grandbaby that's a year old now, so that's been kind of fun because our oldest daughter lives in the same area we live in. I like paying attention to my boys. Like right now on Fridays and Saturdays they play, and so my favorite thing would be to just watch them online. My oldest son is now coaching, and so I get to have conversations about being a baseball coach with him, and my youngest is still playing, so that's fun. I do like to fish. I don't really get out that much, and I'm not very good at it, but I like just the quiet, just the being either by yourself or just with a couple of buddies or whatever. And I don't know if I could say this on here, but having a beer and putting the fish in the water, or trying to get the fish out of the water, it's I find that fun.
So in Idaho, are you a big fly fisher then, or do you go over to Montana at all and fly fish?
No, my youngest brother is a huge fly fisher, and I keep telling him he's got to teach me because I want to learn. Like I said, once I get home, I don't really ever get to go do it just because I feel bad. You don't see your family. It's not that I feel bad, but I love hanging around with my wife. And so one of the things is I just don't get out and do it because I feel like it just takes away from me. Not, I haven't seen them for 7 months or 5.5 months, and just periodically. And so I try to do my best just to kind of do whatever the family wants to do and try to see them as much as possible.
Yeah, totally get that. Well, last one here for you. What's something about Jim Horner that many people don't know about you?
Golly, Thomas. I don't know.
Could be a fun fact, could be anything.
Well, a lot of people outside of not knowing me I am diabetic. A lot of people wouldn't. Well, obviously, nobody would know that except my friends, people I hang out with. So I do deal with diabetes. So sometimes I will experience some lows in a way, and it probably could get hilarious listening to me talk because I'm just rambling on about stuff and just keep repeating myself. But that's probably one. I don't know. I guess the best fun fact I have is that I live in Idaho. I live in a small town in Idaho, and I don't really want to leave. Like I'm okay with going back and flying back and stuff like that. It doesn't bother me a bit. I love the fact of where I live. I love the size of the size of the city. It's not too many people. I feel like if I need to go 3 miles, it only takes me 5 or 6 minutes rather than a half hour, just because of traffic. And I just love it. I love just everything about it.
Yeah, the traffic around Bradenton around this time of year it can take you 30 minutes to go 5 miles down the road. So
Without a doubt. Without it, I've already experienced it. I've already experienced it.
well, thank you so much, Jim, for joining us here, and we're looking forward to the season.
I appreciate you having me, Thomas.